You think of someone and within minutes they send you a message. You look at the clock and it shows the same number sequence again and again. You open a book at random and the exact phrase you needed seems to rise from the page. These moments feel strange. They make you pause. They leave you wondering if the universe is playing with you, whispering through events that look like coincidence but feel like something more. Deep inside, you sense that these are not accidents. They are synchronicities, patterns woven into your life by a field of intelligence greater than your rational mind can explain. You have lived these moments many times. They are not loud. They rarely arrive with drama. Instead, they come softly, quietly, yet so precise that they leave a mark on you. A friend introduces you to an idea you were just exploring in private thought. A symbol repeats in unexpected places until you cannot ignore it. A delay, a chance meeting, a sentence overheard in passing becomes a turning point. At first, you might call it chance. Later, you begin to realize that chance is only a name you give to what you cannot yet explain. This is the moment where your journey begins. Nothing happens by accident. If these words have reached you now, it is because you were chosen to hear them. Chosen not by me, not by any external force, but by the alignment of your own consciousness with the greater field of life. Synchronicity is not random. It is the response of the universe to the frequency you carry. It is the mirror of your inner state appearing in the outer world. And every time it happens, it is an invitation to see, to listen, to awaken. Think of your life as a river of experiences. At the surface, things appear disconnected. Events come and go like waves. But underneath, there is a current, a deeper intelligence guiding the flow. Synchronicity is when the surface aligns with the current and you glimpse the hidden order. You realize that the people you meet, the obstacles you face, the words you hear, all are connected to the inner movement of your being. The field is alive. It responds to your attention, your questions, your longing. What you receive is not random. It carries meaning. It carries direction. Perhaps you have ignored these signs in the past. You thought it was imagination. You explained it away as luck or coincidence. But ask yourself, why did it touch you so deeply then? Why did it stay in your memory long after the moment passed? Because a part of you recognized the truth. A part of you knew you were not living in chaos. You were living in dialogue with the universe. Every synchronicity is a word in that dialogue. Every sign is a response to the silent questions your soul has been asking. This is why you were chosen. Not in the sense that others are excluded, but in the sense that you are ready now. The call of synchronicity comes to everyone, but only when your awareness opens do you recognize it. You are here because your attention is tuned to this frequency. Because you are beginning to understand that what enters your life carries a function for your evolution. That book, that meeting, that delay, that number, they are not meaningless. They are threads in the pattern of your awakening. Imagine for a moment that nothing in your life is accidental. Imagine that every person, every event, every word has a role to play. Some roles are small, like a passing reminder. Others are large, like a turning point, but all of them belong to the same fabric. Synchronicity is the key that allows you to see that fabric. It is the reminder that the field is not outside you. You are part of it. Your thoughts, your emotions, your attention resonate in it. And it responds with precision, shaping events to mirror what is unfolding in you. When you begin to notice, the world itself becomes alive. You walk through your day and everything speaks. A song on the radio carries an answer. A stranger's words echo your hidden doubts. A symbol repeats until you cannot ignore it. The field is speaking. Synchronicity is the language. And the more you listen, the more fluent you become. You stop asking if it is real. You start asking what it means. You stop dismissing. You start interpreting. You stop drifting. You start evolving. This is the essence of the call. You are not being entertained by coincidences. You are being guided. Guided not by a rigid plan forced on you, but by a living dialogue with the intelligence of the universe. When you ignore it, life feels empty, disconnected. When you honor it, life feels meaningful, connected, purposeful. Synchronicity is not about predicting the future. It is about recognizing the present. It is about seeing that you are not separate from the field, but woven into it. As you move deeper into this journey, you will see that synchronicities are not just signs. They are responses. Responses to your frequency, to your questions, to your readiness. If you are restless, the field answers with challenges. If you are seeking, the field answers with guidance. If you are resisting, the field answers with repetition until you surrender. The field does not punish, it teaches. It mirrors. It evolves you through the very fabric of your daily life. And when you realize this, you no longer ask why something happened. You ask what it is for. You ask what function it carries for your growth. So let this be your opening. You are not here by chance. You were chosen by your own alignment to hear this now. Synchronicity is not an idea to believe in. It is an experience you already know. You have lived it. You have felt it. Now it is time to see it for what it truly is. The field is alive. It is speaking. And every sign, every pattern, every so-called coincidence is part of your evolution. From this moment forward, you will begin to see not accidents, but messages. Not randomness, but meaning. Not chaos, but guidance. Because nothing in your life is by chance. You were chosen. The illusion of chance. You grew up being told that life is random. People come and go without reason. Events happen by accident. Good fortune is luck. Misfortune is bad luck. This is the story of chance, and it has been repeated so often that most people never question it. Yet deep inside, you feel the tension. If life is only a chain of accidents, why do so many moments carry such precise meaning for you? Why do the so-called coincidences arrive at the exact moment you need them? Why does the timing feel too perfect to dismiss? This is the illusion of chance. Chance is the label the rational mind gives to what it cannot measure. It is easier to say something is coincidence than to admit you are living in a universe that responds to you. To call it random keeps you safe, because then you do not have to take responsibility for the meaning. If it is random, you can ignore it. But ignoring it does not erase the truth. The truth is that what you call chance is the reflection of the field aligning with your inner state. What you call coincidence is synchronicity. What you call random is response. Think of the times when you thought of a person just before they appeared. The rational mind says it is coincidence. But ask yourself, how many times has it happened? Once or twice you can ignore. 10, 20, 100 times and the illusion begins to break. Or think of the symbols that repeat, numbers on a clock, patterns in words, images that follow you. The mind says you are projecting. But why now? Why this moment? Why with such insistence? Because the field is speaking. The illusion of chance is the cover placed over the dialogue between you and the universe. Modern thought often dismisses what it cannot measure. But even science reveals the cracks in the story of chance. At the quantum level, particles do not move randomly. They exist in probabilities until observed, and the act of observation collapses them into one outcome. This is not randomness. This is interaction. The observer is part of the event. And if matter itself responds to attention, how much more does the field of life respond to your consciousness? To call it chance is to blind yourself to the deeper order. The ancients never believed in chance. For them, the world was a tapestry of signs. They read the flight of birds, the fall of stones, the alignment of stars, not because they were superstitious, but because they sensed the field speaking through every layer of existence. They lived in relationship with synchronicity. Only in modern times did people reduce life to mechanical cause and effect, stripping it of meaning and calling the rest coincidence. But deep within, you know better. You know the illusion of chance hides a truth too powerful to ignore. When you accept the story of chance, life feels disconnected. You drift. You wait for luck. You miss the signals that could guide you. But when you pierce the illusion, you realize that nothing is meaningless. The conversation is constant. The question is not whether the field is speaking. The question is whether you are listening. Every coincidence is an invitation. Every unexpected event is a mirror. The more you honor them, the more precise they become. The more you ignore them, the more restless you feel, as if life itself is calling, but you refuse to answer. This illusion also creates fear. If life is random, then you are powerless. Anything can happen at any time without reason. You live in anxiety, trying to control what cannot be controlled. But when you see beyond the illusion, fear dissolves. You realize that events carry meaning. Even the painful ones hold guidance. Even the delays and detours have purpose. What looked like chaos becomes order. What looked like punishment becomes teaching. You no longer ask why me, you ask what for. You no longer see yourself as victim, you see yourself as participant. Think of your own path. Remember a time when what seemed like misfortune led you to something better. A job lost that opened the way for a new calling. A relationship ending that forced you to grow. A missed opportunity that protected you from harm. At first it looked random. Later you saw the hidden order. This is how the illusion of chance works. It blinds you in the moment, but when you look back with awareness, you see the pattern. Synchronicity is not always visible at first glance, but it is always there, waiting for your recognition. The illusion also weakens attention. If you believe everything is chance, you stop paying attention. You scroll past the signs. You dismiss the whispers. You lose sensitivity to the field. Life becomes noise instead of message. But the moment you decide that nothing is by accident, attention sharpens. You begin to notice again. The symbol repeats and you write it down. The meeting occurs and you honor it. The book appears and you read it. This shift in attention pierces the illusion. What looked like chaos transforms into coherence. The universe feels alive because you are alive to it. Understand this clearly. Chance is not real. It is only a story the rational mind uses to cover the discomfort of mystery. But you are no longer satisfied with that story. You feel the deeper rhythm. You know that life is more than mechanical accidents. You have seen too much, felt too much, experienced too much to keep believing in chance. The illusion is dissolving. And as it dissolves, you are left with the truth. The truth that synchronicity is the language of the field. The truth that nothing arrives without meaning. The truth that everything you live is part of your evolution. So let the illusion fall away. Stop calling it coincidence. Start calling it what it is. The field responding to you. The mirror reflecting you. The universe speaking to you. When you accept this, your perception changes forever. You no longer live in a dead world of accidents. You live in a living universe of meaning. And every step, every meeting, every so-called random event becomes part of your dialogue with the infinite. That is the end of the illusion of chance. That is the beginning of true awareness. Synchronicity explained. To understand synchronicity, you must first see it as more than coincidence. Coincidence is a word that reduces the mystery to chance. Synchronicity is a word that opens it to meaning. It was Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist, who gave this name. He observed that events often connect in ways that defy logic but carry deep personal significance. For Jung, synchronicity was the meeting of the inner world and the outer world. It was when your thoughts, emotions, or longings appear reflected in external events. Not because one caused the other in a mechanical way, but because both arise from the same deeper order. Jung described synchronicity as meaningful coincidence, an event that aligns with your inner state in a way that feels precise and intentional. You think of an old friend, and they call. You wrestle with a question, and the answer appears on a billboard. You dream of water, and the next day a stranger mentions the same symbol. These moments feel like the universe is speaking directly to you. Jung believed they were not random, but expressions of a hidden order, a pattern that connects psyche and matter. The inner and the outer are not separate. They are two sides of one field. This idea may sound mystical, yet modern science points in the same direction. In quantum physics, matter does not behave like solid blocks colliding at random. At the smallest scale, reality is a field of possibilities. Particles exist in many potential states until observation collapses them into one outcome. What you see is not simply there by accident. It emerges in relation to the observer. The universe does not stand apart from you. It interacts with you. The act of attention changes what becomes real. This is not philosophy. This is physics, and it echoes the truth of synchronicity. If the act of observation can change matter, then your consciousness is not a passive passenger in the universe. It is part of the creative process. Synchronicity shows you how. When you give attention to your inner questions, your longings, your struggles, the field responds with external patterns that mirror them. Not through cause and effect, but through resonance. The vibration of your inner world resonates with the field, and the field arranges events in response. It is like two strings vibrating in harmony. Pluck one and the other begins to vibrate. This is resonance. This is synchronicity. You have already felt this. Think of the times you were searching deeply for guidance. Suddenly, a book appeared, or a conversation unfolded that seemed to carry the exact answer you needed. Was that random? Or was it resonance? The book, the conversation, the event was always there in potential. But only when your inner state resonated did it align with you. Synchronicity is not magic. It is alignment. It is the moment when your frequency and the frequency of the field meet, and reality reveals what was hidden until then. Ancient wisdom traditions spoke of this long before science gave it words. They said the universe is alive, a web of energy, a field of consciousness. They saw every event as carrying meaning. Dreams, omens, symbols, encounters were all part of a dialogue with the cosmos. What Jung called synchronicity, they called signs. What physics calls the field, they called spirit. Different names, same truth. That truth is that life is not dead matter. life is intelligence. Life responds to you because you are part of it. This understanding changes everything. If synchronicity is real, then your life is not random. You are not adrift in chaos. You are in relationship with the universe. Every meaningful coincidence is evidence that you are seen, that you are guided, that you are not alone. When you feel lost, the signs appear to remind you that the field hears you. When you doubt, synchronicity arrives to confirm that you are on the path. When you resist, the same symbols repeat until you cannot ignore them. The field does not shout, but it speaks with precision. Synchronicity is also practical. It is not only poetry, it is a tool for orientation. By paying attention to these meaningful patterns, you can navigate your life with more clarity. You learn to distinguish noise from signal. You learn to sense when a door is opening or closing. You learn to trust that the field will reflect what is necessary for your growth. This does not mean abandoning reason. It means adding another layer of intelligence. Reason analyzes. Synchronicity reveals. Together they guide you more fully than either alone. Consider again the example of numbers repeating. At first it may seem trivial, but ask yourself, why does it catch your attention? Why does it repeat now in this season of your life and not in others? Because the field is drawing your focus. The number is not the message itself. It is the invitation to pay attention. What matters is the context. What were you thinking at the moment you saw it? What decision were you considering? What question was in your heart? The synchronicity does not give answers ready-made. It reflects your own inner movements, so you can recognize it consciously. This is why synchronicity is often described as the language of the soul. It bypasses linear logic and speaks through pattern, symbol, timing. You cannot force it, just as you cannot force a friend to speak before they are ready. But when you are receptive, when your attention is open, the field responds. The more you notice, the more fluent you become in this language. Soon you no longer see accidents, you see messages. You no longer dismiss. You interpret, and interpretation is not superstition. It is awareness that you live in dialogue with life. The most important truth is this: synchronicity is not random. It is not coincidence. It is the field answering you. Every time it happens, it is proof that you are connected. Proof that your consciousness matters. Proof that life is meaningful. You do not live in isolation. You live in resonance. And once you understand this, you can never see the world as empty again. Every event becomes a page in the book of your evolution. Every sign becomes a mirror of your path. Every so-called coincidence becomes evidence that the field is alive and speaking. So remember, synchronicity is not a trick of the mind. It is not illusion. It is the deeper order of reality showing itself to you. Carl Jung gave it a name. Science gives it models. Ancient wisdom gives it stories. But you already know it in your own experience. You have felt it. You have seen it. And now you understand it. Synchronicity is the language of the field. It is the bridge between inner and outer. It is the proof that nothing is by chance and that you were chosen to live in dialogue with the universe. The function of synchronicity in evolution. Synchronicity is not decoration. It is not an accessory to life. It is not given to entertain you or to make your days feel magical. Synchronicity is functional. It exists to serve your growth. It is the way the field answers your inner state and guides you toward evolution. Every sign, every pattern, every so-called coincidence arrives with purpose. Some functions are gentle reminders. Others are sharp corrections. All are invitations to expand. The more you understand this, the more you see that nothing in your life is wasted. Everything carries a role in shaping who you are becoming. The first function of synchronicity is awakening. Many people live asleep, moving through routines without noticing the dialogue of life. When a powerful synchronicity strikes, it jolts them awake. Suddenly, they feel the presence of something greater. They begin to question the story of chance. They sense the hidden order behind events. This awakening is often the first step into a deeper journey. Without it, you continue to drift. With it, you begin to listen. The field uses synchronicity to shake you out of forgetfulness and remind you that you are part of a living universe. The second function is orientation. Life is full of choices, crossroads where reason alone cannot see the whole picture. In those moments, synchronicity often appears as guidance. A conversation, a symbol, a repeating pattern, all pointing in a direction. It does not force you. It invites you. It shows alignment. If you are wondering whether to take a step and synchronicities multiply around that step, it is the field affirming resonance. If everything feels blocked and signs point elsewhere, it is the field suggesting redirection. Synchronicity functions as a compass. helping you navigate the unseen terrain of your path. The third function is confirmation. When you walk a path of growth, doubt often follows. Am I doing the right thing? Am I imagining all of this? In those moments, synchronicity arrives as reassurance. The right words appear at the right time. The same theme echoes through different channels. You feel seen, supported, validated. This confirmation is not external approval. It is resonance affirming that your inner movement is aligned with the greater field. It quiets doubt and strengthens trust. It allows you to keep walking even when the path is uncertain. The fourth function is correction. Sometimes you resist your own evolution. You hold on to what no longer serves you. You ignore the whispers of your soul. In those moments, synchronicity becomes sharper. The same lesson repeats through different forms until you cannot avoid it. You meet the same challenge in different faces. You hear the same message again and again. At first it feels frustrating. Later you realize it is the field insisting on your growth. The correction is not punishment. It is love in disguise. It is the universe refusing to let you stay small when you are ready for expansion. The fifth function is integration. Growth is not only about new insights. It is about embodying them in daily life. Synchronicity helps by weaving meaning into ordinary events. You practice presence by noticing signs in simple moments. You anchor awareness by interpreting repeating patterns. Over time, this integration transforms you. Synchronicity is no longer rare. It becomes constant. Not because the field changed, but because you changed. Your attention is sharper. Your sensitivity is deeper. You see meaning everywhere. This integrated awareness is itself evolution. You are no longer drifting, you are living awake. Think of synchronicity as the field speaking the language of evolution. When you are asleep, it whispers to wake you. When you are lost, it points a direction. When you doubt, it reassures. When you resist, it repeats until you surrender. When you grow, it weaves meaning into every step. In this way, synchronicity is not random decoration. It is functional response. It is the way the universe ensures that you keep moving toward your highest potential. It does not remove your freedom. You can ignore it, but the more you honor it, the smoother your evolution becomes. This function is visible in every story of transformation. A person searching for purpose meets the right mentor by accident. A patient struggling with illness discovers a healing path through a series of coincidences. A traveler finds safety because of a delay that seemed unfortunate at first. These are not random. They are synchronicities serving evolution. Each one carries a function: to awaken, to orient, to confirm, to correct, to integrate. When you see them this way, you no longer ask why me, you ask what for. And in that question lies the doorway to growth. There is also a collective function. Synchronicity does not only serve individuals, it serves humanity as a whole. At times of transition, signs multiply across societies. Shared symbols, repeating themes, cultural awakenings. The field is guiding not only one person, but entire groups toward new stages of consciousness. What you experience personally is part of a larger pattern. Your evolution contributes to the evolution of the collective. By honoring your synchronicities, you align not only with your own growth, but with the growth of humanity. This is why your attention matters. Your awakening is never just for you. It ripples outward. Understanding the function of synchronicity frees you from fear. You stop worrying about random accidents. You start listening for meaning. You realize that even challenges carry guidance. Even losses hold hidden direction. Even delays contain purpose. Life is no longer chaos. It is curriculum. Every event, every meeting, every so-called coincidence is a lesson. The field is the teacher. Synchronicity is the language. Evolution is the goal. And you are the student and participant, chosen not to suffer randomly, but to grow intentionally. So the next time synchronicity appears, do not dismiss it. Ask what it is awakening in you. Ask what direction it is pointing to. Ask what doubt it is confirming. Ask what resistance it is correcting. Ask what lesson it is integrating. This shift transforms you from passive observer to active participant. You no longer live in a world of accidents. You live in a field of meaning, and every sign, every pattern, every echo becomes part of your evolution. This is the function of synchronicity. This is why nothing in your life is by chance. Practical examples and guidance. It is one thing to understand synchronicity as a concept. It is another to feel it alive in your own life. The best way to see its truth is through examples, because stories reveal what theory alone cannot. When you hear them, you begin to remember your own. You realize you have lived synchronicity many times, perhaps without naming it. And once you give it a name, you begin to see it everywhere. That recognition itself is evolution. Consider the story of a woman who lost her job. She felt devastated, convinced it was a failure. On her way home one evening, she wandered into a small bookstore to escape the rain. A single book fell from the shelf as she walked by. Its title contained the exact phrase she had been repeating in her mind for days. A new beginning. She laughed nervously, bought the book, and inside found ideas that inspired her to start her own business. What looked like misfortune transformed into opportunity through synchronicity. The book was not an accident. It was a mirror of her readiness to evolve. Another story. A man struggled with loneliness. He prayed silently one night, asking for a sign that he was not alone. The next morning, as he boarded the train, a stranger sat beside him and began speaking about the importance of connection. The stranger used almost the same words the man had whispered in prayer. Tears filled his eyes. In that moment, he knew he was seen, not by chance but by resonance. The field responded to his longing with synchronicity. The stranger was part of his evolution, a living answer to a hidden question. There are also stories of protection. A traveler misses a bus and feels frustrated. Minutes later, he learns that the bus was involved in an accident. What looked like inconvenience was protection. The delay was synchronicity. The field responded by altering his path to preserve his journey. He could call it luck, but luck has no meaning. Synchronicity has function. It taught him to trust delays, to see interruptions not as punishment but as guidance. From then on, he paid attention instead of complaining. His life became more fluid because he recognized the dialogue. These examples are not rare. They are constant. The only question is whether you notice them. To notice, you must shift from dismissal to attention. Begin with simple practices. One practice is to keep a synchronicity journal. Write down every meaningful coincidence, every repeated symbol, every precise event. Over time, you will see patterns. The same numbers, the same themes, the same lessons repeating until you listen. The journal becomes proof that nothing is by chance. It trains your attention to honor the dialogue. What you record becomes more vivid, and what is vivid guides you. Another practice is conscious questioning. Before you sleep, ask the field for guidance. Formulate a clear question in your heart. Do not demand an answer in a specific form. Simply open the space. The next day, pay attention. A conversation, a headline, a phrase in a song may carry the response. Synchronicity often answers in indirect ways, through context and resonance. The clearer your question, the clearer the response. This practice turns your life into dialogue. You no longer wait passively. You participate actively in communication with the universe. A third practice is symbolic focus. Choose a symbol, perhaps a word or number, and set the intention to notice it during the day. As you move through your routine, see how often it appears. At first, you may think it is projection. Soon you will realize it is resonance. The field arranges patterns to match your attention. This exercise shows you the power of focus. It reveals that what you look for multiplies. It teaches you that attention itself is a call, and synchronicity is the response. Once you see this clearly, you understand why nothing is accidental. Practical guidance also includes discernment. Not every repetition is synchronicity. Sometimes patterns are noise. The difference is meaning. Synchronicity carries impact. It resonates in your heart. It stirs your intuition. It feels alive, precise, personal. Noise feels empty, mechanical. With practice, you learn to distinguish the two. Do not become superstitious, chasing signs everywhere. Instead, cultivate awareness. Pay attention to what feels charged, significant, undeniable. Synchronicity does not beg for your attention. It arrests it naturally. That quality is the mark of authenticity. Another important guidance is humility. Synchronicity is not about controlling the field. It is not about demanding that the universe obey your wishes. It is about listening. Sometimes the field answers yes. Sometimes it answers no. Sometimes it says wait. All responses serve your growth. Humility allows you to accept guidance even when it contradicts your preferences. Without humility, you risk twisting synchronicity into projection. With humility, you receive it as dialogue. This keeps you aligned with true evolution rather than egoic desire. Practical stories also show the cost of ignoring synchronicity. A woman kept seeing the same symbol, a bird crossing her path at unusual times. She dismissed it. Later, she had a dream of a bird trapped in a cage. Still, she ignored it. Weeks later, she faced a crisis that forced her to free herself from a suffocating situation. Looking back, she realized the signs had been warning her. The bird was her symbol of freedom. The field had been speaking. She had refused to listen. Ignoring did not erase the lesson. It only made it more painful. Synchronicity unheeded becomes louder until you cannot avoid it. To live with synchronicity is to live awake. It is to walk through your day knowing that everything has potential meaning. It is to see life as dialogue instead of noise. It is to respond with curiosity rather than dismissal. When you do this, your entire perspective changes. Instead of drifting through accidents, you move with awareness. Instead of fearing randomness, you trust the field. Instead of ignoring, you honor. This shift transforms ordinary life into extraordinary experience. The same events occur, but you live them differently. You live them as messages. Guidance also means action. Synchronicity is not only to be observed, it is to be followed. When signs point in a direction, take a step. When confirmation arrives, trust it. When correction repeats, adjust. Synchronicity without action is wasted. It is like receiving a map but never walking the path. The field guides, but you must move. Each step affirms the dialogue. Each step deepens your evolution. When you act on synchronicity, the patterns multiply, the guidance becomes clearer, the journey becomes alive. So practice, discern, remain humble, and act. Keep your journal. Ask your questions. Notice your symbols. Test the resonance of each event. Honor the meaning. Follow the guidance. And above all, remember that nothing is by chance. The field is always speaking. Every coincidence is a potential message. Every sign is an invitation. Every repetition is a lesson. When you live this way, synchronicity stops being rare. It becomes constant. And your life becomes the unfolding of a dialogue with the universe, a dialogue designed for your evolution. Living with synchronicity. Living with synchronicity means shifting your entire relationship with life. You no longer see the world as a series of random accidents. You see it as a living field of meaning. You no longer dismiss coincidences as trivial. You honor them as dialogue. You no longer wait for signs with skepticism. You walk with attention, ready to notice what the field reveals. This way of living transforms not only your perspective, but your experience. It turns every day into a sacred conversation. To live this way, you must cultivate presence. Presence is the doorway to synchronicity. When you are lost in distraction, you miss the signs. When you are trapped in noise, you cannot hear the whispers. But when you slow down, breathe, and pay attention, the field speaks more clearly. It does not shout. It does not force. It reflects. Presence allows you to recognize the reflection. The simple act of awareness opens the channel. The more present you are, the more fluent you become in the language of synchronicity. Living with synchronicity also means trusting the process. Not every sign will be clear at once. Some will make sense only in hindsight. Some will guide you through confusion before clarity arrives. Trust is required. Without trust, you dismiss what does not fit your expectations. With trust, you honor the process, knowing that meaning unfolds in time. The field responds not to impatience but to openness. When you trust, synchronicity multiplies. When you doubt, it retreats. Trust is not blind belief. It is confidence born of experience. You have seen too much to dismiss it. Now you allow it to guide you. Another key to living with synchronicity is response. Signs without response are wasted. The field is not a spectacle to be observed. It is a dialogue to be lived. When synchronicity confirms, act. When it corrects, adjust. When it awakens, listen. When it orients, follow. Action closes the circuit. Without it, you reduce synchronicity to entertainment. With it, you transform it into evolution. Every step you take in alignment with the signs strengthens the dialogue. The field trusts you as much as you trust it. Together you co-create the path. This way of life does not mean abandoning reason. Reason and synchronicity are not enemies. They are partners. Reason analyzes the seen. Synchronicity reveals the unseen. Reason helps you plan. Synchronicity helps you align. Together they form a fuller intelligence. Living with synchronicity is not about rejecting logic. It is about completing it with resonance. It is about knowing that the map and the compass work best when held together. Logic gives structure. Synchronicity gives meaning. You need both. Living this way also requires humility. You cannot control synchronicity. You cannot demand signs on command. The field is not your servant. It is your partner. Humility allows you to receive guidance without arrogance. It prevents you from twisting signs into what you want them to mean. It keeps you honest, receptive, aligned. Humility reminds you that synchronicity is not proof of superiority. It is proof of connection. Everyone receives it. The only difference is awareness. To live with synchronicity is to walk humbly, listening more than insisting, receiving more than demanding. As you live this way, your entire experience of reality shifts. Ordinary events glow with meaning. Delays feel purposeful. Encounters feel destined. Challenges feel instructive. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is empty. Everything is part of your curriculum of evolution. You realize that the universe is not silent. It is speaking constantly. You simply were not listening before. Now that you are, you cannot return to blindness. Once you see the dialogue, the illusion of chance dissolves forever. You are awake in a living field of guidance. This living dialogue also deepens your relationship with yourself. Synchronicity is not only the field speaking. It is your own consciousness reflecting back at you. Every sign reveals your inner state. Every coincidence mirrors your questions. Every repetition exposes your resistance. By honoring synchronicity, you learn to know yourself. You see your fears, your longings, your doubts, your hopes reflected in the world around you. The field is a mirror. Living with synchronicity is living with honesty. You can no longer hide from yourself. You evolve because you are confronted with your own truth. There is beauty in this. The realization that you are never alone. The universe walks with you. The field responds to you. Synchronicity is the proof that you matter, that your thoughts and emotions echo in the greater reality. This dissolves loneliness. It heals despair. It gives meaning to suffering. It transforms fear into trust. Because if the universe speaks, then you are not abandoned. If the field responds, then you are not powerless. You are part of a dialogue as ancient as existence itself. So how do you live with synchronicity day by day? You stay present. You trust the process. You act on the guidance. You balance reason with resonance. You walk humbly. You remain curious. You keep your attention alive. And above all, you remember that nothing is by chance. This memory shapes your perception. It sharpens your awareness. It transforms your path. You live awake, aligned, guided, and your evolution unfolds with meaning. As you hear these words, remember that you did not arrive here by accident. The synchronicity of this moment is itself part of your dialogue with the field. The question you carried within drew you here. The resonance of your frequency aligned with this message. Nothing is by chance. You were chosen to hear this now. The universe has spoken. The field has responded. The invitation is open. The only question is what you will do with it. Will you ignore the signs and return to the illusion of chance? Or will you honor them, follow them, and live your evolution consciously? The choice is yours. But know this. Once you have seen, you cannot unsee. Once you have heard, you cannot unhear. Synchronicity will follow you whether you honor it or not. The only difference is whether you live it as confusion or as guidance. If you live awake, every moment becomes meaningful. If you remain asleep, life will keep repeating until you listen. Nothing is wasted. Everything serves. This is the truth of synchronicity. So walk forward with awareness. Watch the signs. Record them. Respond to them. Live them. Let your days become dialogue. Let your life become meaning. Let your path become evolution. You are not a victim of chance. You are a participant in resonance. The universe is not silent. It is calling you. And if you are listening now, you know that you were chosen. Nothing happens by chance. Synchronicity is the proof. The field is alive, and your evolution has already begun. If this message resonated with you, subscribe to the channel, give it a like, and activate the bell so you won't miss the next insight. Remember, every choice you make collapses a quantum possibility. Choose the reality where your true self is free.